All right, guys, welcome to our noon Zoom today. This is Dr. Doug Firebaugh's noon Zoom. He opens it up on Fridays.
No, it's not. It's everybody's noon Zoom. I just happen to get to be here. You allow me to be here, so let's be real.
Okay, sure. Well, this is a great place, guys. It's a free mastermind for home business entrepreneurs to be able to come. We share ideas, we talk about things, we do trainings. There's just wisdom that drops here every single Friday when we come together. And honestly, you can think of this as your own personal mastermind. And we know how important a mastermind is when it comes to building a business and being able to borrow from other people's thoughts and get around people who are smarter than you, right? That's why I hang out in this place, is to be able to absorb other people's success. We've got people like Alan Newell here, Mr. 90,000 Alan, and we got Paul Copozio, who are massive earners in this profession. As you know, Dr. Doug is one of the most sought after mentors and speakers in the profession. He's done over $1 billion in volume, and he's trained and coached over 52 top earners, millionaires in their company. So what you get here is honestly thousands of dollars worth of training in one spot. And so we're going to continue this week on the topic that we were on. We only got halfway through the slides last week. We were talking about 7 mistakes in network marketing and how to fix them. And I'll quickly, we'll run through the first 4 slides here. Here's Charmaine. I think I can share screen. All right, I'm going to actually go back to the start and we'll just show you guys for those of you who weren't here last week. And I think we have the recording, which I can get to you guys as well. I've got another person coming in here. Sorry, I got to close out this screen. All right, that.
Angel,
all right.
If you want to make me co-host, I'll let people in because I'm doing some last minute inviting as well.
Sure. I cannot do that. I think it has to be Dr. Doug. I cannot assign. All right. So last week, guys, we were talking about mastering network marketing, 7 keys to success and growth. I'll quickly go through the first few slides. We covered them in depth, getting clear on your goals. Really, we did a really in-depth training on goals a couple of weeks ago. So make sure to grab that recording if it's in the group or ask me for it. I think I actually posted it on YouTube as well. So getting super clear, breaking it down, target goals, achievable goals, then target goals, then big goals. We went through that. Not approaching everyone, taking your time, not jumping all in and going, just crazy and talking to everybody and sharing everything the wrong way. We talked about doing it all right. And then we talked about not giving up. And that means that doesn't just mean not giving up in the beginning. It means not giving up in the middle, not giving up when you hit roadblocks, not giving up every single time somebody says no, not giving up every time you decide this is the time you're going to do it. How many times have you given up? Do not give up. Do not ever give yourself that option of giving up. Don't neglect your online presence. This is where we ended, and this was such a great topic. We really got deep into what your online presence, why you need to be online, how you need to be talking to people, what you need to be doing, the importance of being online, especially if you're going to build a global business. Or take me, for instance, from Canada. I've always built teams in the US. I've had Canadian teams, but I would say always at least 95% of my business is in the US. Without being online, that could not have happened. So we're going to continue on here in mastering time management. I'm going to move some screens around here. Let me just move this here. So if there's something that you need to do that is 100% crucial to your success in network marketing, you need to master this. You need to wake up every single day with a plan. You need to know what you're doing. You need to spend the time before your next day planning out what your next day looks like. You want to wake up knowing what you need to do that day. Back when I first started, and I think a lot of us do this, we kind of just take off running without really a plan. We know that we want to build. We know that we want to talk to people. You know that you need to be out there sharing. Did you make a plan that you can consistently stay to? Because just running at full blast, not having a plan every single day, that is a recipe for disaster. You're going to run out. You're going to burn out. You're going to feel like it didn't work. And that's because you didn't take the time to master this discipline. You need to become obsessed with discipline. Discipline isn't fun, and it's something that most of us avoid because it doesn't sound fun. It's not cute. It's not exciting to think about being disciplined, but it's that discipline of knowing what you need to do every single day, that discipline of making a plan, that discipline of knowing what your non-negotiables are every single day versus what can maybe move to the next day. It's also the discipline of making sure that your family is involved in this plan, making sure you're making time for them, having that balance in your life. So task batch. If you don't have a lot of time in your day, if you are still working, take 15 minutes in your morning, 15 minutes at your lunch, and 15 minutes in your evening, and figure out exactly how you're working. Work it relentlessly. Declare that you get more time or get more done in your time than other people do. Just have that mindset that if I am focused for at least 15 minutes, 3 times a day, I'm going to make this happen. And let your family know that this is important and you're not available. A lot of us are pulled in different directions, and we will use the excuse of somebody else needing our time to not do what we're supposed to do. Oh, this happened. This came up. My kids came home sick. Oh, my mom needs me to come over. Oh, this family thing is happening. Oh, so-and-so is moving, whatever it is. You need to let people know that you're building a business and your time is important for that business. So there's going to be things that you have to say no to. You're just going to have to get okay with saying no. That's at the bottom, but set those boundaries. This is building time. If you've made that decision, like we talk about, where we say, you know, only you know if you made the decision, because only you know if you're getting stuff done. We can't tell you if we are, we can't do it for you, but this is building time, and you've got to set those boundaries. Drop your excuses. There's no more I couldn't because, or I didn't because. You know, if Paul calls me and says, what does your 5/5 look like today? And I say, well, this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened. That's not what he's asking me. What does my 5/5 look like? Either I say I did it or I didn't do it, right? And I'm not going to drop the excuses. I didn't do it today. There's no reason other than I failed myself, right? No matter what the excuse is, I didn't do it. Use productivity apps, whatever that is for you. I personally, I'm a pen and paper. I'm old fashioned that way. So I don't use a lot of apps, but if any of you have any apps that you use right now, feel free to put them in the chat. If you found something, we use boards on our team, and we add to these boards, and then we share the link out with the team so that everybody's, you know, we have scripts in there, we have the onboarding, we have whenever our calls are. Boards is an app where you can just share. It's like a board. It's, you know, you can write everything on it and share it with your team. And I love that. Set a reward for the end of every week. And that can be as simple as on Sunday night, you turn your phone off, you turn everything off, and you spend time with your family. Or that can be on, you know, maybe at the end of the week, if you're a woman, you go get your nails done, or you go get a massage, or you go for a walk, or you go for dinner. Just a simple reward that you can set for yourself, because you're rewarding yourself for the discipline. If you didn't do the discipline, don't reward yourself, because you don't want to trick your brain into thinking that you're rewarding yourself for not building your business. But if you've now decided to get disciplined and you've done everything that you know you need to do every single week, reward yourself. Focus only on income producing activities, especially when you're in the building phase. If you're working towards achievable and target goals right now, if that's the two focuses that you have right now, focus only on income producing activities. No, so don't be out there trying to learn. Oh, if everybody could mute, sorry. I don't think we have a mute on everybody right now. If you're unmuted, please mute. And yeah, so just focus on what you need to be doing to produce an income. So don't get distracted with all the shiny things out there. Don't take coaching and more coaching and sign up for everybody's training that you see online. Don't spend your time just scrolling. There we go. Make sure that if you're doing something, look at it and say, is this income producing? If it is not, then stop. And that's a very simple thing to figure out how to do it, because we tend to, especially in the beginning, spend a lot of time doing things that we don't need to be doing. And I was guilty of that in the beginning. I built a blog. I started vlogging. It did end up producing stuff for me, but I spent a lot of time, I'm going to say a good 9 months building that, right? I was following leaders who were telling me to go build a blog, go vlogging, go do this, go. And so that's what I was doing. I'm glad in the end, it taught me a lot, that's for sure, but it was not income producing. So I was in that stuck part of network marketing where I was doing my monthly auto ship, but I wasn't making any money because I was spending my time and more money building these other things to try to build this online presence. So just focus on what your leader is telling you what to do. And if you don't have a leader telling you what your daily task should be, get a hold of somebody in your upline who can tell you, or follow the 5/5 like Dr. Doug teaches. And like we talked about here on the noon Zoom, it's just amazing. So Dr. Doug, what is your thoughts on time management?
TIME stands for this is my entrance or this is my exit. And time is nothing but a doorway that you can utilize, and you can either spend time or invest time, as we've all heard. Most people spend time because they don't realize it's an asset. You invest assets and into assets, and you've got to ask this question: am I going to spend time today to where I get a return on investment, or am I going to spend time today to where it costs me? Because time either costs you or you invest within it. So this is why this is my entrance, this is my exit. This is my entrance into a hugely 7-figure success day, or this is my exit from it and accept whatever happens. So that's the thing. More importantly, Angel, is that most people spend their time accepting what happens to their business, accepting what results they get. But people that understand time, they demand from it, and they demand what they want from it to make sure that their return on investment is maximized. Back to you.
I love that. This is my entrance. I love that. That's perfect. Paul, what are your thoughts on time management and mastering time? Because I know that you get a lot done in your day. Dr. Doug's somebody that he gets so much done in one day. I'm just always like, how do you do it? And it's like supernatural power that he has. And I know that it is. It comes from God. But Paul, you also get a lot done in your days. So would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, I mean, to be honest, the reward thing you mentioned before, I think, is important. And then you start to learn to crave it, and you start to see the potential. The biggest challenge I think people have with getting stuff done in a day is what I call latency, right? There are certain things we do that we're going to get instant results. If we call someone up and they pick up the phone and we have a conversation, right, which is step 2 out of 5/5, and we have that conversation, that may or may not lead into the next step, but it's an instant reward. Then you'll see like some of my coaching with Dr. Doug, and we went through coaching, and I'd feel guilty about by the next week's call, I didn't accomplish that extra 1,000,000 points of volume. Well, you have to start to understand latency. There are things that you do in your day that are going to take a little bit of time to mature. And then there are going to be things that you do in your day that are going to have instant gratification. You need all of that, but they need to be income producing. They need to be just flipping that switch constantly. The little reward should be the satisfaction of getting it done, right? That's such a huge reward. Like, oh my God, I did that. Oh my God, they picked up the phone. Oh my God, that conversation went so well. So I think that's what we need to start looking for, those that start to love it with a passion, and you want to fill more and more and more of your day with it. Does that make sense?
That does. And you bring up a good point, because when we have those feelings that, oh my gosh, that went so well. Oh my gosh, that call was great. That conversation was great. Oh my gosh, I recruited somebody. A lot of times we go, done for the day. That's when you need to like press into that feeling and go some more and go a little bit further that day, and take that emotion and that energy and that excitement and do a little bit more and keep on going, because that will fuel you to continue to generate and build on that success. So that was awesome. Do not neglect your follow-up. Success is lost with lack of follow-up. And I think all of us, if we're honest, could raise our hand and say we've lost somebody in the follow-up. And, or you've seen somebody come into the company later on because you didn't follow up. You have to be, this becomes part of discipline as well. Follow-up is discipline. You have to be consistent. If you said, we've heard follow-up Fridays, make Fridays your follow-up. Make that the day that no matter what, you go through your list of people that you've talked to, even if it was 2 days ago. Hey, Paul, I know we just talked 2 days ago, but Friday is my follow-up day. I make sure that I reach out to anybody I've talked to about my business, my products. I just wanted to get back in touch with you. Have you had a chance to look? If you haven't, no problem. Or set a day for follow-up. Paul, you're going to take a look at the business. You're going to take a look at the video and stuff. When should I schedule to get back with you? When is the best time for me to get back in touch with you, right? Schedule it. and stick to it. It's part of your business. If, you know, a lot of times we look at network marketing like it's just this hobby and part-time thing that we're doing to hopefully build our dreams, but it's not. It's a business we're building. And so if you were at work and you didn't do the follow-up for the stuff that your employer is paying you for, then you would fail, right? You get fired. So don't set yourself up to fire yourself. Alan, go ahead. You have your hand raised.
Yes, and I hopefully the background noise is not too noisy, but I want to go back to the time management because there's some information out there that people need to realize is for example, during COVID with homeschool, I actually went and rented, and there's a lot of places nowadays where you can time share office space. And so I rented an office space for 3 days a week for $500 a month, and I had it all day. I had 3 full days where I could leave my home, go to the office. I had internet, I had everything I needed. I had a conference room, I had meeting rooms, everything. And being able to get out of the house dictates to me that I am dedicated. Same thing if you've got kids. If you say, I'm going to dedicate the time, I think it's important to meet with your family and talk about it. Say, listen, I need this much dedicated time each week to put into my business, and I need y'all's support. I need y'all to appreciate that, and we all need to be on the same page. And by doing so, it's not going to be an immediate gratification, but long term. And so when you get the buy-in from your family that, hey, this is how many hours a week I'm going to spend in my business, and this is what we're going to do in return, that time needs to be set aside. So you may need to leave, go to a coffee shop. You need to go to a community. Because if you've got kids and you stay in your house and try to work, even if you've got a babysitter, it's not going to work. But your kids are going to come find you. And so same thing with, for example, I don't do my landscaping. I don't mow my grass. And listen, I didn't wait until I made a lot of money to do that. I realized that when I can pay somebody, $35, $40 a week to go out there and do my landscaping, do my trimming, do all that stuff, and it allowed me, by the time I got set up, took care of mowers, took care of all this stuff, and I made a lot more money in those 2 hours than $35, $40. And so a lot of times our people do stuff on the side and you think, well, it costs me money. No, you're going to make money. Well, I need to get out of the house. Yes, you do. I need to get the buy-in from my family. So you got to dedicate that time and get everybody's buy-in, help them recognize that this is a job. And if you don't, it is really tough to stick to your schedule, and then you start to fail. So I just wanted to add that about time management.
That was awesome. Thank you. Great tips there. And I love that you don't spend your time doing the things that you can delegate or hire other people to do. And that's very important. And I think, yes, with young kids, having built a business while my kids were growing up, if you can't get out of the house, one trick I used to use is the mom hat or the work hat. If mom was wearing her work hat, that meant leave mom alone, because I was doing Zooms, I was doing calls, I was doing trainings, and I have little ones running around, right? But I heard this from somebody else, and it was put on a hat, and they'll know that if that hat's on, it's work time. If your hat's off, you're mom. So I used to do that. But I do now, even just recently, I said to the kids, summer's over. Mom is in full building mode, and I'm going to be working a lot. I'll set time, and we do rewards. I do rewards with them too. So include your family in the rewards, right? Riel, I know you had your hand up and you've disappeared. Are you still there? It's so good to see you.
Hey, great to see you, champions. Morning. Yeah, I was it's so great to be back and see Doug and Paul and all of you. It's been like, what, 2 years? Maybe
Yeah,
more.
it's been a while, almost 3.
Yeah. Speaking of follow-up, so I wanted to share on follow-up. Can y'all hear me? Because I got to talk a little, not too loud here.
Yeah, we can hear you.
In terms of follow-up, one of the things that I do now is I have my own car business. And, when I started here, you hear them talk about follow-up, and I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? I know that. I know all about follow-up. I built 2 7-figure businesses and blah, blah, blah. But let me tell you something. I'm just keeping it real. What we know about follow-up in the world of entrepreneurs is nothing compared to what they do in the car business. And it has taken my game as an entrepreneur to a whole another level. Let me give you an example. So they call it the board. Okay. So we all have this thing in the entrepreneur world, right? Oh, Paul, I talked to Paul yesterday. And then Peggy, I see Peggy up here, goes and recruits him 4 days later. And then I'm like, whoa, wait a sec. Paul's mine. I talked to him first. Let me tell you something. If you, and it's happened to me, if you don't follow up with a person, when I get a lead here as a car, if I miss one day of communicating with them and they come in here to buy that car and somebody else does it, I lose out. They call that bad follow-up. That's your fault. They say you also have to build that kind of rapport with the person. Like it's called taking them to the board. If I take them to the board, the first question they're going to say is, well, why didn't they ask for you, Rayo? You didn't do a good enough job through your follow-up, through the way you treated this person, that when they came in, they asked for you. We should do such a great job when we introduce somebody to our company that if we do miss a day or two or three, when it is time for them to join the company, they're going to say, yeah, but no, there's nobody I'm going to join this company with unless it's Charmaine. Because Charmaine made such an impression on me. She treated me so good. She gave me the information she needed and all of that. So follow up and what I've also learned here is when we get a lead, because I work in the VIP section, the internet section here. When we get a lead here, statistically, and this company's been around 70 years, and trust me, they track everything like Dr. Doug to a next level, which this is Dr. Doug behind you. You'll see I have my goal set there. That's my at minimum, my reach for, my knockout of the park. These are things that Dr. Doug taught me, by the way, that is transferable to any business. And FYI, I went, what was it, Dr. Doug? I went to a 6-figure business in 90 days with Dr. Doug, listening to him.
Ah, Sienna, it's not for us.
When he taught me these things. But what I was going to say, the last thing I'll say about follow-up, statistically, when somebody reaches out to the internet to buy a car here, they do not take action till 120 days. So they tell you when you get a lead, you need to follow up, and they see it all day long. About 120 days, this person comes back and now they buy a car. I would say it's no different than our network marketing business. And if you're not building that relationship with them, yes, we want them to join today. But if you're truly all in and you're building that 50,000-foot view and building that vision, right? Because you could see if you start this business today, if you started and joined with somebody today, and you did your follow-up and your reach out with excellence, about 120 days from now, you're going to start to see this, the domino effect. And if you do your stuff the way Dr. Doug and that teaches you, after about 120 days, because you're not just doing this for the quick fix, are you? After 120 days, you'll never have to worry about leads. And you just keep feeding the pot and planting the seeds. I hope that helps.
That is awesome. And it's so funny sometimes when you go to a different industry and it builds you as an entrepreneur like that, right? Where it's just that dog eat dog. I did that in the PPE industry back in COVID too. It was just like this wild world, and it just builds you. It builds your grit. It builds your confidence in yourself, and it builds, your resistance to everything. So that was fantastic advice there, Riel. It's so good to see you again, and I miss our days. So it's great to have you back. Get your mindset clear, guys, that you're not a bother. You're not bothering somebody when you're following up. Even if they don't answer you, they see your message and you're like, oh my gosh, they didn't answer me. You're not a bother. You're doing your business. You're doing what you need to do. They're not paying your bills. You know that follow-up, you just heard from Riel, the importance of follow-up, the importance of how if you continue to follow up and you build those leads in 120 days, you're going to have this pipeline. It's going to start bursting. You are not a bother. So get that out of your head. People need reminders. And think of yourself. I always stop myself and I'll think, what do I need from people when I'm either looking at something, looking to buy something? I need reminders. I need somebody sometimes checking in on me. Hey, Angel, I just wanted to check in. How is that going? Oh my gosh, yeah, sorry. Life's so busy and the kids and all of this, right? Thanks for the reminder. I'm always grateful when somebody's coming in because I'm also a very honest person. If it's not for me, I'll let them know right away. Be empathetic, but firm. Hey, Diane, I know life gets busy. You had asked me to check in with you today. I tried calling you. You didn't answer. I just wanted to send you a quick message here, let you know that I tried. You let me know when it was a good time to get back to you. I know things get crazy. Let me know when the next good time is for you, right? You're empathetic that life gets busy. You know that, she had set the time. So you're just still being firm. You set this time, but so when's the next best time? Relationships take time. A raised hand doesn't mean credit card in hand. You have to nurture people. And we know that in this profession, right? A lot of us just want to jump that step with people and get straight to business. And there's some instances where that works. And you can feel that in a person, but it's getting to know somebody's needs, getting to know where they're at in their life. Not everybody is ready to just take that leap. They need more information. They need to know who you are. They need to know, like, and trust you. So relationships take time. And just like Rael said, 120 days, really get comfortable with that. Even if you're restarting right now, even if you've said, okay, now is the time, I'm taking all of this information, I'm going to go run with my business. Don't expect to have 6-figure results in 30 days. Right? It's going to take that time. Set a weekly reminder, open up new chats, add them to a group, send them a new video, send them something effective for them. Hey, Diane, this is now the second time I'm following up with you. I haven't heard back from you. I wanted to send you this quick video. We added this new product, or hey, this is a little bit more information on that product that you were looking at. I wanted to share this with you. Or I love what Peg does. She will follow up with information that's completely outside of the company, right? She'll send, say Diane was having an issue with something, she'll send her an information or an article that she's found that deals with that issue, just as being a good person. Hey, I don't know if you knew this, but I found this online. I wanted to share it with you because it might help you, or there might be some things in there that could help you. Sending them something effective and showing them that you're actually a real person that cares about them. It's not just a persistent follow-up, but you want to lead them, right? Dr. Doug always talks about leading them down that path and leading a person to their decision. That's what you're doing there. So Dr. Doug, what are your thoughts on follow-up? Dr. Doug, are you there? You might be muted. I can only see people up here. There you are.
I believe that they say the fortune's in the follow-up, but it's not. Every time I hear that, I cringe, because I know a lot of people that follow up that are broke. The fortune's in effective follow-up. I love what Rael said, because I think that many people give up too soon. And I think that many people have the indication that follow-up is once or twice and that's it. And I followed up with this one guy for almost 2 years, and he came in, and a year later, he was in the top 100 earners. So it's a matter of understanding who that you're following up with. There's 3 different parts to follow up: mindset, language, and perspective. And when you have the mindset of follow-up, you're actually reconnecting with the person, not to see what they're thinking, but to see what they're feeling. Because obviously a largest portion of decisions are made from a emotional standpoint, but justified by logic. Then there's language, and how you follow up and how the person hears and understands what you're looking for. This is not net chase, net beg, or net run after marketing. What this is this is simply, I need a decision somewhere between point A and point B. And when you follow up or reconnect, you have to have the language that works. And one of my favorite, what we taught for years and years and years, is very simple. If you send a video out, what was your favorite part of the video? If you send some information out, what was your favorite part of the information? If they were on a Zoom, what was your favorite part of the Zoom? Because what you want to do is you want to get them into a mindset and their perception that there's something really good going on here. And the perspective part is pretty simple. You got to have the perspective that they have seen the information, they have talked with you, they've done a 3-way, they have been online, they have researched. What your job is not to follow up and to try to close them. It's to help them make a decision that's right for them. And when you do that, they're going to feel that, because people love to make decisions based on assistance, because most people hate making decisions. So that's in my mind, again, it's just my own personal opinion. You help the person make the decision. I'm sure Rael does that with not only in what he does, but also with Paul and Alan. because they don't want to come on as hard selling. It's just like, all right, let's talk about this and let's see if this is something right for you, and then let's see if you're right for us. But actually, the follow-up is in effectiveness, mindset, language, and perception.
That is awesome. It reminded me too of a conversation I had with Michelle last week, where I tend to always talk business. Like I lead a lot more with business and talk to more business people and use LinkedIn a lot. And if I've sent information, I always try to get them on the phone, but if they ask for information first, then when I'm following up, I will say exactly what you said there, Dr. Doug. And, I would like, the next step is to get on the phone so I can answer any questions, right? People like steps. And when you've always taught about the road, leading them down the road to that decision, if they hear steps, then it's not as threatening, right? Because you're just following steps in your business, and it's showing them that that's just the next step to making that decision. So I like to use that language. Paul, what are your thoughts on follow-up?
Well, to be honest, I'm going to probably go against the grain here a little bit, because sometimes I want you to forget about following up, to miss a follow-up. And what I mean by that is not because if you're working on 2 or 3 people. I think that you need to have a big enough pipeline, and you need to have so many conversations going, and so many people that are in the follow-up stage or the exposure stage, or even thinking about a decision, that you have so much on your plate that way that you may forget to follow up. And somebody may call you angrily and say, I was really going to do this thing, and then you never got back to me. That means you're building a big enough pipeline. So all it is a little bit of the canary in the coal mine that's letting you know you're doing all the other steps right. I don't mind you losing 1 or 2 to get to the point where you're doing the preliminary work, right? The connection, the conversation, the exposure, the follow-up, and then to the decision. So the only reason I feel you should forget a follow-up once in a while is because you need to be practiced, right? What do we teach? I teach go for boring. It's got to be boring for you, but exciting for the person you're talking to. You have to be so comfortable with it, and it becomes so second nature that it almost feels boring. Right? I'm sure any great singer could just get up and they say, well, would you do your greatest hit? And I'm sure with a little bit of warm up, they could just go ahead and sing it. So that's the forget about the follow-up. Peg, I want to talk to you, and then I want to go to Donna. Peg, you just sent me today a text that you sent in 1962 to someone, and they responded today. That's what I try to tell you. When we want a formula, we want a system, and we expect the people on the other end of that, receiving end of it, to follow our pattern and timing. No, it's the only time this is a numbers game is on the connection stage. And even in the conversation stage, once they express interest, once they go from being a prospect to an actual lead, yes, I think I want to join you, or yes, I think I want to try your product. That's the only time they become a lead. And at that point, you need to invest in them, right? You can't do the right thing for the wrong people, but you should do everything you can for the right ones. And that's when it starts to come in. Other than that, it's a numbers game until you find that herd. Right? Until you find that group of people that want to run with you. I'll go one more thing. I loved also about giving some follow-up and some reconnecting with people outside of what you're selling, right? So our company happens to sell this HGH product, and it's well known and everything. And I used to send, when I was first starting, I sponsored 126 personals in my first 8 months in New Life. I used to follow up by teaching people how to increase your human growth hormone levels for free and naturally, right? And you're like, well, why would you do that? You could just sell them the product. Because I know people would rather take a pill or rub a gel or do something than actually do the hard work to increase their HGH levels, right? So tell them how to do it for free. Right? And then they're going to say, yeah, but is there a faster way? Of course there is. So I love that type of communication. Donna, I want to go, Angel gave you a great script for LinkedIn, right? And we took that script, but we also have to know how to use that script in volume, right? Certain scripts you need to do pretty much a blast, and other scripts or other conversations you're having one-on-one. So when we give you training, context is important too. Right? When to use it, how to use it. It's not all one size fits all. So, I mean, that's it for now. Otherwise, I can keep riffing. So.
No, I love it. Whitney, are you able to open up and share it all on follow-up? You're a busy mom, so I'd love to hear your tips on following up and how you manage this, even when it comes to time management and follow-up. Maybe she can unmute. All right. But Alan, did you have some thoughts there on follow-up?
I do. I like
Awesome.
a lot of what Paul said. And a lot of times what I'll do, similar to what Paul said, is this. And this works so well for me because I'll say, Angel, we're going to follow up Tuesday at 3, right? And you say, yes. I'll say, great. I'll look for your call then. I put it on you to call me. I'll look for your call then. Number one. That's something that works well because then I know if that person's interested. Now, the next thing is something that most people in the direct sales industry are terrified to do, but it is one of the strongest tools that you have in your arsenal, and that is on a follow-up, the takeaway. Now, the takeaway is when I reach out, when I've scheduled for you to reach out to me or I reach out to you, and you don't respond. And then I wait a day or two and I say, hey, listen, I was just following up again. I think we had a call on Wednesday, scheduled for 3 p.m., didn't hear from you. And I do the takeaway. Hey, Angel, listen, I'm following up again. I just wanted to make sure, it seems to me that clearly the timing is not right for you for this opportunity. I totally respect that. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate your time and you're getting with me and taking a look at this. If things change for you in the future, please don't hesitate to let me know. And oh, by the way, if you know of anybody who might be interested, let me know. I appreciate that. And I appreciate your time. And I wish you the best. And if things change again in the future, reach out to me. I can't tell you the number of times that I get a call back. They go, no, wait. No, I'm interested. I just blah, blah, blah. But see, when you tell people that, hey, do the takeaway, take it away from them, take the pressure off. Hey, listen, clearly the timing's not right for you, and that's okay. I respect that. If things change for you in the future, let me know. I'm going to guess, and I don't keep statistic on this, but I'm going to guess 80% of the time they then reach back out to me within 24 hours and say, no, it's not that at all. So the takeaway is strong and an amazing tool because now I'm not chasing you. I'm taking the pressure off going, no big deal. No big deal. Things change. Let me know. I just wanted to add that.
I love that because that's a confidence that so many people lack to be able to do exactly that. So I hope people were taking notes when Alan was saying that, using that language. I'll look for your call, right? Putting it on them, putting that responsibility on them, that not only do you take yourself seriously, you'll wait for them to get to you because you're not chasing. And I love that. And the takeaway also shows that you're not chasing, but you are looking for other people and asking for that referral. Definitely, I think that works wonders. So I hope you guys took notes on that. And this is our last slide, develop leadership skills. A lot of people, and it can take time if you don't see yourself as a leader, if you don't believe in yourself as a leader, if you come in here and you're like, maybe one day when I hit a certain rank or when I have a certain income, then I'll feel like a leader and I'll feel like I can lead people. No, develop those skills now. Building these skills, not only in you, but also in your team. Teach your team how to be leaders. You don't want to micromanage a team and have them see you as the only leader on your team, even if your team only has 2 people. You don't want to be the only leader on your team. You want to teach the other person how to become a leader. You want them to see themselves as a leader. You want to be developing those skills, sharing stuff with them. Encourage mentorship. Train your downline. Train them. Send them stuff. Make sure they're attending the calls. Make sure they're plugging into any company calls that are happening, any team calls that are happening. Tag them in them. Tag them in the replays. Hey, Jennifer, did you see this? This is a great training. You have to plug into this. This is going to help you so much. After you've watched this, let's jump on the phone and discuss this, right? You're being a leader by telling them to plug in, but then you talk to them on the phone and find out what they got out of it. How is it going to build them? How are they going to apply it into their business? Showing a team how to lead is the path to duplication. If everybody is relying on you as the leader or somebody else in your company as the leader and they feel like they can't lead others, they will not duplicate because they will always be in fear that they don't know how to show others and that they need you. And if people are only relying on you and your time is dispersed between these people on your team to be building the business for you, then you are not in building. right? You can't do duplication for others. It's not duplication if you're doing it for everybody. That's not duplication. Duplication happens when things start to happen that you are not involved in. All of a sudden it's duplicating because they're following a system. They're learning how to be leaders. Even if they're brand new, if you have a system to plug somebody into, immediately somebody's a leader because they can say, great, Jennifer, you joined my team. Awesome. The first step is to plug into our Saturday call. So get familiar with your back office and then make sure you attend this Saturday call. Boom, you're a leader, even if that's your first person. So training your team how to be leaders and lead people down a path is crucial. Become a builder of leaders, right? There's people that I've heard many times say, be the leader of leaders, build leaders. This skill is something that won't go away. And when you build this in people and you start to see them start to shine and start to believe in themselves, that's like the bonus on top of what we do. Because yes, we're showing people how to build incomes. Yes, we're changing their health, but now you're building somebody to believe in themselves and believe that they can do this and believe that they can lead people. And that's a confidence that then starts to grow in them because not only are they seeing themselves now as a leader, but they can go out there and start to build leaders themselves. And so that leadership duplication is crucial to your team. Freedom is a self-sustained team. In your big scary goals, those ones that Riel was just talking about, that Doug has shared with him to build, that we've talked about on these calls, your big goals, that part of that goal should be to have a self-sustaining team, a team where you have to check in on them because they don't need you so much. You haven't heard from them in a couple of days. The team's building, but nobody's reaching out to you. What the heck is going on? How can I help, right? All of a sudden you're reaching out. How can I help you guys? How can I serve you? It allows you the time to build, but it also gives that freedom that we so talk about in network marketing. All of us tend to, do more. And we get obsessed with this building pattern and being always busy, that when that freedom time comes, we don't know what to do with ourselves. So make sure that you are building a self-sustained team. Show everybody how to do that, because if we're preaching freedom, if we're sharing freedom, if we're giving the hope of freedom, we better show people how to build freedom. So Dr. Doug, what are your thoughts on this with leadership skills? You are the master of leadership.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think Alan and Paul's probably better leaders than me. I think probably most people don't see themselves as a leader. They see themselves more as a recruiter. They see themselves more as someone that's working a direct sales business. I think that what most people have to do is they have to understand that the whole core, nuclear core, building a team of customers, deals in first and foremost understanding the 3 steps towards creating that leadership flow. Number one, in order to lead, you have to lead yourself. And unfortunately, many people take that for granted, and they don't. You have to lead yourself before you can lead anybody else, because if you don't master leading yourself to do the things you need to do when you need to do them, then it's not going to be anywhere near as critical or as important in your language when you're asking others to do the same thing. Second thing, you've got to learn to lead your team and individuals, which is critical, because obviously leadership is one of those things that every single day you have to be there for them. You have to guide them, lead them, direct them, persuade them, influence them. But the most important part of leadership is understanding what it really is. Strategies, tactics are important. There's no doubt about it. John Maxwell says that it's influence. Max Dupree says that it's persuasion. There's lots of different types of definitions. But leadership in the nuclear core of network marketing is a mobilizing energy. And anything like influence, direction, persuasion, or anything else is a fruit of that energy. And until you have that energy that draws people towards you and drives you, it doesn't matter what kind of strategies and tactics that you have, you're not going to have the impact that you really need. So I would work on that mobilizing energy of being able to move people, and move volume, because those 3 things are what's going to really, truly make your leadership stand out. So with that, thank you. Turn back over to you.
I don't know about everybody else, but if you listen to just that first one, lead yourself, that was a big aha for me, because the second one is lead your team. And sometimes when you've learned how to lead yourself and then you're going into leading your team and you're not figuring out why your team isn't taking leadership, you need to teach them, number one, first of all, right? You need to teach your team how to lead themselves. And that is something that a lot of people skip over because they're looking to you for leadership. But if you haven't taught them how to lead themselves and they're dependent on you, you're missing the whole point. So that for me was a big aha, because
Angela, we had something, I don't mean to interrupt, I apologize, called the rule of your first words. And the rule of the first words is so important. Leadership starts with the very first words out of your mouth. And understanding that really does help then not only direct a much more powerful message, but it also makes you understand the power of your leadership through what you literally say. The first words out of your mouth is starting, directing, persuading, and influencing. So that's something, we all have to work on. Everybody has to work on that on a daily basis.
That's amazing. I love that. Alan, your thoughts on leadership, if you can open up again. I know you're busy.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that Doug said, and a couple of things. One is leader, and I said this before: leader of one, leader of many. If you can't lead one, you can't lead any. So you lead by example, and people will do what you do about 80% of what you do. And so I can tell you that we do weekly trainings. I do Monday morning motivations. I used to do weekly 11 a.m. Motivation calls. And for the last however long, 8 years, I don't miss them. I don't miss them. I'm consistent and I'm persistent and I'm there and I make sure I'm on time and I make sure that we have a topic to cover. And leadership is you lead by example. Leadership doesn't come with a title and it does not come with a rank. I have people that are high-ranking people on my team, and they're not good leaders, and they can't figure out why. And it's because they feel like because they've reached that rank, they deserve to be a leader. And that title and that rank has nothing to do with your ability to be a leader. Your ability to be a leader is to get people, once again, to, as Doug said, what first thing comes out of your mouth, do they know that you care about them? Do they know that they can trust you? Do they know that you're going to do whatever's best for them and help them be successful? Because remember, everybody has a sign on their chest that says, make me feel important. Another thing that a lot of leaders make mistakes doing is this, is you praise to the world and you praise in front of your group and you recognize in front of your group and you make everybody look like shining stars. If you need to have a conversation with someone about their performance, about their attitude, about something they're doing, about something they're saying that's not positive, that's always one-on-one. Never reprimand, never correct, never do that in front of a group. Whether it be a group call, whether it be a group Zoom, whatever it is, if you've got 2 or more people on a call, don't talk to that individual about, if they ask you for advice, say, hey, let's get together one-on-one on that. I'd love to chat with you about that. And here's why. If you're on a call with 10 or 11 people and you're the leader and you call somebody out, that person, number one, is embarrassed. And that person feels like that you're attacking them. But let me tell you something. The other ones on the call are thinking, that didn't feel good. That's not good. I didn't appreciate that. And it wasn't even about them. So I think that's a really important rule. Doug does an amazing job of recognizing and acknowledging people and making people feel good about themselves on calls. He also does one-on-one trainings and coaching. And that's where he does one-on-one trainings and coaching. I coached sports for many, many years. And as I started coaching hockey, I coached with the goalie for the Hurricanes, and he was in Saskatchewan, Canada. And he said to me, he said, Alan, he said, listen, you coach, and he said, you train in practice, you teach in practice, you coach and inspire in the game. You encourage and inspire in the game. And so many people don't understand that. You see, because if people knew what to do, if you say to somebody, don't do that, don't ever do that, don't do that again. You see, here's the thing. If you, the leader, the coach, had properly taught them what to do, they wouldn't have done that. Let's sink in for a minute. You see, if you're on my team, Angel, and you're out there and you do A, B, and C, and I go, Angel, don't do that. I've got to look in the mirror and go, why did she do that? She did that because she didn't know what to do. But if I said, hey, Angel, I see that you did that. I appreciate your efforts and what you're trying to make happen. Listen, in the future, in that situation, here's what I suggest you do. And I think that when you do that, it may turn out better for you. You see, that's where the growth comes from. That's where the respect comes from. That's where, see, respect and leadership comes with, you got to earn it. It doesn't come with a title, and it doesn't come with a rank. Back to you.
That was perfect. And I love that, because if you've shown them the way and they fall off that path, you lead them back to the path. And I love the way you said it. I think you should come back to this. You know, if you're doing the 5-over-5 with your team, or if you have a roadmap to success, come back to this. Great. That I love that you were trying to take some initiative. You see that that didn't really work. Let's come back to what works, right? And I'm impressed that this, I think, is the first time I've ever heard of Saskatchewan on a Zoom. That is my neighbor to my west. First time I've ever heard it. But I also want to comment on what you said at the very beginning, Alan, when you said, just because of the rank doesn't mean they're a leader. And either you can be that person, either you know of a person, you can be that person, or you can have that person on your team where they hit that rank and it falls apart because they're not a leader yet, right? They think of themselves now, oh, I filled these shoes, I've become this. Now they've got to rebuild because they didn't build leaders. They didn't learn how to lead, and they've done all this for themselves. They've come from a really selfish point, and now it's falling apart, and they didn't learn how to lead. They first of all didn't know how to lead themselves, because they just went all in for themselves, but they also didn't learn how to lead their team.
You know something, Angel? I love what Alan said, and the thing that I just want to add, just jump in here if you don't mind. We never criticized our people, and Alan is so right on with that. What we used to do is ask them a simple question when we saw something happening that was totally wrong, or they weren't doing it right. Or we never criticized our people. We just said, if Paul and I were working together, and I would say, hey, Paul, let me ask you a question. You want to know how that we can do that a little bit better? And what that does, it opens them up to learning, and it opens them up to understanding you're there to help. So never criticize, never say you're doing it wrong or anything. Hey, I got an idea. You want to learn how to do that better. And it just seems to create a much more leadership environment in the conversation.
That is perfect. I love that. I love that. Paul, your thoughts on leadership here, developing leadership skills on your team?
Well, I want to recap quickly when Doug talked about, when you're sharing your information, and I kind of summed that up because he that was part of one of the first things he coached me on. And I came up with, every time you speak, you're auditioning for leadership. So you got to really be careful what comes out of your mouth. So just a quick thing is to remember, every time you're talking, whether it's to a prospect, whether it's to your team, whether it's to your future team, whether you first get on stage for your company and you say something, you're auditioning for leadership. So start focusing on it. The other thing is to go to a little bit what Alan was getting on, how to treat people. Leadership is not dictatorship. Right? So we don't really get into we don't have to show our dominance. We don't have to do the whole alpha male thing. We need to make sure that we're nurturing people. We need to make sure that we're not a dictator because we finally got this title. Look, I got a box here with some of my pins in it. For my company gives out pins, right? There's no skill in this box. There's a couple of pins, simple jewelry, but there's no skill in here. So just because you achieve the rank does not mean you have the skill set to even maintain that. And in fact, I teach people that those who got the rank very quickly, for whatever reason, whatever circumstances, they're usually struggling with leadership, or they're struggling with maintaining that rank because they didn't go through that pain of achieving it. Now, the other side of the coin is, that when you do have that slow growth, yes, you're missing the check. Maybe somebody bought that car before you, and or whatever, they're wearing the cool shoes. You have gone through the growing pains of what it's going to take. Most of my people who get to rank slower maintain that rank. They're not dropping in and out of rank. They're not chasing the paycheck, and they usually stay around. I want to mention someone, Jordan DeFelice is here. He's demonstrated to me, and not even on my team, has nothing to do with me whatsoever, but he's demonstrated to me the understanding now of what true leadership is, right? He understands about getting on calls like this and exposing his team to training, not just what he's delivering, but what everyone could deliver. So I wanted to call him out a little bit because he's really not only a rising star in the company that I'm affiliated with, but actually in the industry. I think this kid's going to be a kid. I'm sorry, Jordan, but everybody's a kid to me. A force to be reckoned with. So I wanted to introduce him. Jordan, I don't know if you had a word to say on leadership, but it'd be nice for you to say hello.
I appreciate it. Well, thank you, Paul, for that. And yeah, I love this topic of leadership. I think it's so profound. The longer I've been in the industry, I feel like leadership is the ultimate duplication system. More than any tool, maybe even, when I was first starting 15 years ago, it was always about tools for duplication. I feel like taking the time, it's a slower process, but when you take the time to actually develop people, it's what sets you up for having real duplication, real success long-term. So I love this. I love everything that's been said. And Dr. Doug, good to see you. I remember I was at one of your conferences about 15 years ago. You're the keynote speaker for a company called GBG, and that was my first exposure to you. So it's good to be back and see that you're still in the game going strong.
Awesome, Jordan. Thank you so much.
Jordan, great comment. I'm glad that I'm trying to convince Dr. Doug to take his show on the road again and start hitting cities with real training and real coaching for people. I think we could deliver a lot of value. And another thing is, if you don't have an upline, yes, you do. You have Dr. Doug, right? So anyone, don't feel abandoned. Don't feel, that's the power of these calls. First of all, I think that when we have an upline, it's hard for them to not influence you based on their needs, right? Where here, you can have real, clean, clear, transparent coaching that's going to work for you, not work for your upline. And I'm not saying everybody's got an evil upline. I'm just saying that it's very hard in this world to really, truly not consider your own personal interest on top of that of others. And that's one of the things we learn here. Is to really, truly being a servant leader. And I appreciate Dr. Doug for teaching me that. And I'm glad that you know of him already, Jordan, because I really think that he's taken my career to the next level. I speak differently. I feel differently. Yes, and I owe it all to God. And to be honest with you, my relationship with him wasn't so great until I met Dr. Doug. And it's very, very empowering. Okay, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I could be a little bit of a bad boy from time to time. But to be honest with you, it's good to have guardrails in your life. And this call and Wealth Fuel alone are the guardrails for so many people in this industry. And shame on us for not having hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people on this call, because I think we will change not only people's lives, but the actual industry itself. We don't necessarily have the best reputation as far as all industries are concerned, but we could change that just these people on this call. Thank you, Angel.
That was beautiful, Paul. Thank you so much. And thank you, Jordan. And yeah, it's just such a great place for people to be. I want to go to Riel. I saw you had your hand up. Also, I know you have great tips on leadership, but I hear you have a book coming out as well. Oh, you're muted, I think.
Yeah. Hey, champions. Yeah, thank you. It's the 5 Ds, and we're launching it on the 1st of November. So thank you and it's just, I've actually have written now, took me 60 years to write my first book. And I think I've written 23 as of today in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. God is just down. I like it. I haven't written, God has written 23 books, and he's just downloading into me like crazy. And I'm just putting on the thing, but I'm excited. It's a series of books starting there. I'm also in Doug's book that's going to be coming out. You want to be part of that and stuff like that. So thank you. God is so amazing, isn't he? Can we just give God like the glory? It's so crazy. And this is one of the books I wrote about. I said, and it's called, as a leader, I sit at the back. I just wrote it this morning. And here you are talking about leadership. And what God showed me this morning, and I think of things like servant, humble, when we talk about a leader, and unfortunately, I'm just keeping it real. And I love that get real training. Did you say, Paul? Don't use my name. It's okay. I own it. But no, and that's what I do. I keep it real. And I, I'm 60 years old. I don't want to offend anybody, but the one person I don't want to offend is my Lord and Savior, Jesus. So as long as I can do the 5 things, say, does it need to be said right now? Does it need to be said by me? Am I coming from a place of love? I'm going to say it. And, the reality is most of the people in our industry who call themselves leaders are far from it. Anybody who says I'm a leader, you know what? Honestly, if somebody actually says the word, I'm a leader like that as a title, I'm going to say red flag. Like right there, to me, is like, I'm going the other way. I've learned some stuff from Dr. Doug and stuff like that, because let's think about that. And what I was talking about, I sit at the back as a leader. Here's what happened to me. You've all heard this, right? You've been around, right? Well, if you're a leader, you need to be at the front of the room. Get at the front of the room. Let's get to the get in the front room. Who is that really about? That's really about me being in the front row, so you can see me being in the front row. And I don't even want to say that word, but I've had teams, right? And when you get to a certain level in network marketing, what do? Oh, we got a section for you at the front. You go to a Eric Ward thing, you pay more, you get a section at the front, but your team is where? At the back. Right? Really? The only reason you're at the front is because of your team. So I've always gone to the back and sit with my team. And you know what? It's been frowned upon by other leaders. Why aren't you up in the front where you're supposed to be? Why? Because I'm back here with my team, right? Because I want them to feel special. I want to be, but it showed me another level. I wanted to share 2 things, and I get to run. Came from another level. My oldest son, pray for him, please. And it's good. He's become a police officer. I'm very proud of him, my oldest son. But as a police officer, if you know any law enforcement, what do they do when they walk in a room? They go to the back of the room. If you ever notice that, do any know police, or where do they sit? They sit at the back of the table so they can see the whole room. And why? Because they're observing. They call it Amber Alert. So I realized, do I want to be at the front of the room so I can get all these nuggets from Dr. Doug, which are awesome? Or do I want to be at the back of the room? Because Doug will tell you he's good, but he's not perfect. Paul will tell you he's not perfect. As a leader, I want to not only hear what that champion on stage is saying, I want to see how it's being received by the rest of the people in the audience. When are they doing this? And when are they falling asleep? Because those are the things that I'm going to observe as a leader and take those nuggets that the people are reacting to, that's giving them, because there's a bunch of powerful people on stage, but we're not all perfect. We're not all the same thing. So I want to see what is coming out of these champions' mouths. That's what I'm calling that is lighting up these people. I can't see what's going on back there if it's behind me, and I never want to be the one that thinking you're behind me. Last thing I'll say is this. It's just a different sign of leadership. I love this. It's a car thing, right? But it's a network marketing thing. We're talking about leader. It's about having vision. Okay, I just got a brand new Bronco, right? Thank you, Jesus. But I spent $10,000 of extras. Yeah. Does it make my Bronco cool? Yeah, it absolutely makes my Bronco cool. But is that why I did it? No, because I have vision, right? And a champion cannot ask other champions to do what they're not willing to do. So I specifically put stuff on my Bronco that when I'm selling somebody a Bronco, I can say, you know what, this would be a great addition to your Bronco. This would be a great addition too. Let me take you over and show you my Bronco, and that I did it. Do you see what I'm saying? And it's no different, right? And I guarantee you, it's part of my goals there. I guarantee you a year from now, I will sell more of those extra products. And all the other salesmen are like, dude, you're crazy, dude. I'm not crazy. You just don't have vision. You don't have vision. I'm not here for a little check. I'm here to change the world, right? It doesn't say sell 2 cars a day up there. It says change 2 lives a day. So whatever it is, selling cars, nutritional products, whatever it is, if that's what you're passionate about, make it not about selling somebody something. There's not, you know why I have all these pictures? Every one of those pictures up there is a picture of me with the person that was blessed with the car. This is something I learned from Doug. Now they talk about follow-up. I'll end it with this. When I bless a person with a vehicle, because God helped me to get them, nothing better than that smile on their face. How many of you know what I'm talking about? The 2 biggest things we do is a car and a house, right? I take a picture of them with their vehicle. I take a picture, a selfie of me with their vehicle. I immediately send them the picture of them with the car, a thank you note, 2 brownies, right? I send me the picture of me with their car. So I have it around them so I can think about them, remember them, continue to follow up. A year from now, I will send them that picture on their anniversary. Is that next level follow-up, champions? Do you think those customers, when their friends and family or whatever, who are they going to ask for when it comes to getting a car? That's the kind of follow-up you got to do. You got to think out of the, I'm in the largest dealership in the world, 29 years in the world. Do you think there's one salesman here that does that? Not one. They come in my room and they think I'm crazy. They make fun of me. Seriously. Like, why do you do that, dude? That's a waste of time. That's what they say. Anyways, champions, just a little fun. I get to jump. I appreciate you. So good to be back, Dr. Doug. I love you, Angel. Thank you, Paul, for reaching out. Talk about follow-up. I wouldn't be here if that champion, Paul, didn't continue to reach out to me. Did I show up the first time he reached out? No. Did I show up the second time he reached out? No. Did I show up the third time he reached out? Life was crazy. And then he reached out to me this morning and it was right. And I said, I'll be there. Follow up is key, champions. Love you guys. Take care. God bless.
Hey, Real, great seeing you, buddy.
You too. Yes, Victor. Yes, you too, Victor. Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Give our love to Michelle as well. Tell her we all
Bye.
say hi. It's so great to have you. And
You
what
too.
Victor said, or what Real said, guys, about being in the back of the room. Dr. Doug taught me that as well, because it changed, my whole mindset changed from when I walk across the stage, when I'm doing this, when I'm recognized for this, to I can't wait to see my team, right? Like, I can't wait to see my team do this. And I can't wait to have tears running down my face when I see other people achieving that, because he switches your mindset into thinking that way. And I just love it. So we're going to wrap up today, but what would today be without a recap from Victor on his takeaway for today? I always love, Victor, what you share. You're always brilliant with it. You add extra information. And Mary Kay, good to see you. Goodbye. But Victor, yes, would love to hear from you.
Thank you, Angel. Today was awesome from all you guys, from you and Dr. Doug and Paul Allen, and Real was awesome. And I love what I also love what he said about leaders. It makes me think with the book Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. It talks about many of the same things. So it's a great book. I recommend for everyone. And talk about follow-up. Rob Sperry, who many know is a successful network marketing coach, shared how 11 people reached out to him and he turned them all down. None of them followed up with him. The 12th person followed up with him and he joined that company. He became the #1 distributor in that company of like 1 million distributors. So can you imagine when those other people had followed up with him, they could have made so much money off of this guy. So this is the things that can, and I'm sure we've all done this. We've all now followed up with someone that's so do well in another company because we didn't follow up. And Alan, so I remember Alan on Clubhouse a couple of years ago says, he was talking about follow up. He says, people ask him, so how often do you follow up? He says, I'll often follow up so I see their name in the obituary. When I first heard it, I said, that's a lot. But then I realized this guy has all these autorships. That's why, because he constantly follows up. So never give up on people. And you talked about IPAs. Another thing I would just say is do the IPAs earlier in the day, because a lot of times people say, we'll do it later in the day, but life happens, emergencies happen, and you don't do them. So the earlier you do it, the better. And we got to be patient. Great things take time. You plant, you cultivate, you harvest. Babies take 9 months to develop. The bamboo tree takes 5 years to develop. You got to water and nurture. You got to be patient. A lot of people are not. And a lot of people, unfortunately, underestimate how much time they have. They think they have all this time available. Time flows by quickly, as Dr. Doug was talking about. They don't treat it as an ad, they don't treat it as an investment. And before you know it, 10 years have gone by because you wasted that time. And so, and again, being patient. The best way to make money is to be slow, not to be greedy for the money, because you're going to get yourself into trouble. And you talked about excuses. Excuses make today easy, but tomorrow hard. Discipline makes today hard, but tomorrow easy. So remember, be disciplined. So I love what you said about that, Angel. And the last thing I just want to say is get enough sleep. Not only the health benefits to it, but there are studies done. People think that the less they sleep, the more they get done. It's actually the opposite. You sleep better, you get more sleep. You actually a lot more productive, you get a lot more done than people who get only 5 hours of sleep. They're not as focused, they don't concentrate as well, and they just don't do as much. They're not as productive. So you get health benefits and you're more productive. So get enough sleep. And great book I recommend by Matthew Walker is Why We Sleep. And I'm done. Happy Friday.
What's it called, Victor? What's it called?
Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker.
Why We Sleep. Okay. I have credits in my Audible to use up, so I like that.
I can tell you why I do it, but it's probably not for the reasons you think.
Oh no, I love that, Victor. You're always amazing, and it's always a blessing to hear from you and your takeaways and just how you add to it. It's just awesome. Usually we get around more to the room, guys, but we'll respect your time today. I'm going to let Paul go, and then I'll go to Dr. Doug to wrap up. But Paul, final thoughts for today.
Final thoughts. I thought it was a great call, and I just really can't wait to just for next week. I really can't wait for next week.
Yeah.
I want to give it to Dr. Doug.
Yeah, you know what, guys? Last week, Dr. Doug gave us $5 million questions, and I want to thank you so much, because we actually took that to our team, Dr. Doug. And so if you were here last week and you wrote those down, go to your team with those. Use that. Don't just let it sit written on paper. Use it for yourself, first of all. Answer the questions for yourself. But if you have a team, go out and ask those questions to your team. And so I just want to thank you so much, because the way God downloads into you when we have these calls, it's just like amazing. And so those were, I know, life transforming for so many people. And we're paying that forward by taking what God put into you and putting it into other people. So I'd love your final thoughts for today, Dr. Doug.
My only thought is how many people are you going to talk to this weekend?
Yeah.
I challenge everybody. 10 people, one weekend. All you have to do is just ask them a simple question. Very simple question. Is this a good time in your life to possibly consider some additional income? 10 people. Watch what happens next week to your business. Back to you, Angel.
Perfect. That is doable, guys. That is 100% doable. Go out and take that action. The weekends are when business builds, and this call should fuel you not only to take action this weekend, but take action today. If you haven't done those IPAs, as Victor said, go and do them. That is the part that's moving your business forward. I am so grateful for all of you who come here. Thank you, Dr. Doug. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Alan. I know Alan's gone, and Rial was awesome, and Victor. And we appreciate all of you. Unfortunately, can't do too many takeaways today, but the content, I can't believe 7 slides took us over 2 hours. So it's been amazing. But we love you guys. Invite more people to this call for next week, noonzoom.com, and have a blessed weekend, guys. God bless.